beauty as a form of art, as a bright phenomenon in the world. Painting, watercolor, graphics, sculpture, art and crafts in the program Kaz Art. Today in the program, variety of forms of Demidov, teapots in the master's creativity, the play of words and images. Artist Demidov, every his appearance in public is a small play. He knows how to play and lets others enjoy his play. And now we involuntarily fall under the charm of his personality and are surprised by the unflagging fountain of ideas and performances. He would be well connected with the streets of London and Berlin, New York and Moscow, but we are lucky Demidov is an Almaty resident, and we, the residents of the land of Kazakhstan, can fully enjoy his amazing, light, bright and joyful creative world. I think that we are happy that we have such a person as Demidov, because of course he is a person who changes the world with his presence, and that's the person whom you will never forget, even if you are not familiar with the art. Demidov is generally closely connected with the plays. It seems to me that he creates such science of the plays and science of time. He can move to any place and at any time. But of course our sun, our mountains, our warmth, our hospitality absolutely feel the works of Demidov, because our mentality is open. When we speak about Kazakhstan in general, this quality, the personality, traits of Demidov. Of course, you cannot see a person face to face, and you do not always see the meaning of contemporaries, but time has a way of setting things in order, and I think we will still be proud that we live at the same time with Demidov. Demidov's parents came to live and work in Almaty from Baku in Soviet era. Born in the city located on the shore of the Caspian Sea, the boy grew up in the arms of Tian Shan mountains. He grew up, he was looking for himself. That way was not straight and simple. After school, young Seva dreamed of quickly leaving the parents' nest to learn something new, and preferably in a new place.
Почтовый пакуется груз, мой адрес не дом и не улица, мой адрес Советский Союз.
My dad is a big fan of newspaper clippings, and he collected information available at that time. And he gave me such a note. This was the Riga Civil Aviation Institute, a university that trains specialists for the whole country, and therefore had a lot of visiting admission commissions. Romance, aviation, the sky that attracted my attention. I entered the faculty of avionics, where that institute is and where I am. I was frustrated in my third year. I realized that it was not my field. But there is just Europe. Culture, architecture, everything is so beautiful. I was fascinated by this all. But in the third year, I woke up. Every session influenced me badly, and I realized that I had to change something. All the time there was a question: who are you? What are you? Why are you here? And I remember that as a child, I, like many children, liked to draw, and I decided to follow this path. What can be more familiar and more customary than a teapot? A simple, uncomplicated household item with the help of which the morning of millions of people around the world begins. In the master's artistic imagination, it turns into a magical vessel full of mysteries and mysteries. Kettles are something that I like. Through teapots, I talk to this world, and in general, the world answers me with love. And teapots say to me thank you. The kettle is such a universe. This is a container that contains a lot, and the kettle has many meanings. Usually, a newcomer is called a kettle who does not understand much, but I like to fill words with some sense, and for me the teapot is a very wise creature. This is a combination of male and female beginnings. Each teapot consists of such elements as the body of a kettle, where tea is brewed. This is yin component. The so-called woman's womb. Of course, the teapot is not conceivable without a spout. It is the active young part. Through the spout, the tea is poured into the world. The teapot is a philosopher. It is a sage. Everything is organically intertwined, and it does not only contains, but it always shares with the world. This teapot is close to me, and I continue to work with teapots, and teapots continue to work with me, maybe even over me. And now we see teapots, art objects, teapots' hats, teapots' pictures, and Seva Demidov holds the high title of potman. After all, we remember that the creative work of this artist is unthinkable without a game, including the play of words. Seva Demidov twice took the sky by storm and let the first experience in the Aviation Institute fail. The artist director of the Almaty Pedagogical Institute helped to open new horizons. Painting and the graphics came in his life, and with them creative ecstasy, a bold creative, a game of words. I started with the traditional forms. This is painting. Then I switched to graphics. Because painting is a complex technology, it was necessary to wait long for the paint to dry out. And I wanted to get a faster result. Paper is more living material, which allowed getting faster results, and I was involved into graphics. I was bored in such traditional genres. I loved experimenting, making mess, and looked for some new expressive meanings. There is such a genre, mixed technique. In this, I achieved some success. I thought, I'm an artist, I would paint such pictures all my life. Well, it was the late 90s and early 2000s. There were exhibitions, people bought my work. I thought everything is cool, life is good. That's when the author's terms, calligraphy and tea-graphy, appeared in the artist's lexicon, and Vsevolod plunged into an interesting science, let's call it semiotics. He began not only to draw pictures, but began to search for meanings, new meanings, and to convey to people his world view, encrypted in these words. Here are a few hieroglyphs. Here is the tire bear. I took some term, a word that somehow warms me, and I made calligraphy somehow. In general, you have an image from the word, right? Yes. Why did calligraphy swallow me up, capture? Because in fact I read all sorts of treatises. In fact, the meaning of these is not the main aesthetic category, where QI's, life energy, is the main thing, and I liked it very much. And so I realized that it is not necessary to know this meaning. The main thing is that the explosion it could make. In calligraphy, in fact, the form is no less valuable than the meaning. And here are two more works appeared spontaneously. For the layman, something to pour or overturn is definitely nuisance. But the creative person, even in these, finds a way to realize his creative principle. This story happened during the recording of the interview. There was red mascara on my lashes, and I waved my hands emotionally like a mirror. And I wiped one of the cans off like this. And here I had a sketchboard with a stretched paper, and that's how this thing dropped. And red paint for me is valuable and important. On the floor there was a puddle, and I thought what to do. I put a paper, and that's what happened. This is a question, and this is some kind of answer. The meaning of these absolutely does not matter. Всеволод himself admits that the artist was awake in him when he drew the first sheep. Following the goal is very boring, uninteresting, and it's like you fall on an ocean. You were splashing, and then you think, what I did. Despite the fact that Всеволод Demidov's work is so diverse, one can see his favorite images. The kettle is the first image that is immediately remembered. Signs, calligraphy is the second image. And his signs are such universal language too, because they are interesting without any meaning. A sign as a form and a word as a form. This is a very interesting approach, completely unfamiliar, not standard. Probably Всеволод Demidov has nothing standard, but another image that repeats itself and which lives for a long time in his work is a sheep. A sheep is generally a very good symbol. Of course, the sheep was still familiar to dreamers in the 19th century, but Всеволод has his ships, and these are always ancient ships. These are the boats that sail right from the past into our future, immediately into space, and of course the ships of Всеволод Demidov are his personal journeys, and therefore they always have sails, inflated by the wind. They are so bright, so memorable, because the journey cannot be boring, let alone a journey through the waves of art, inside art. Now the creative energy of the master is aimed at creating art objects from such simple, uncomplicated and completely everyday objects: glasses, hats and ornaments. We are inside of me, you can say. This is my favorite space, which I share with other comrades. Here is my homeland. Everything that I produce is born here. Rather, everything is born in my head at night, when I sleep or pretend to sleep. And everything materializes here. Here is my DJ gear. Here is my favorite glue gun. My all sorts of pliers, my screwdriver, my cards, my colors, my beads, my lamp, and everything here. Всеволод Demidov is not interested in traditional materials, precious metals, silver, gold. He likes to use wood, leather, coins, junk trinkets. That is his handwriting, a recognizable style, a mood. Boring and dull things, these are the real enemies of the artist. Art is really such a useless thing from the point of view of utilitarian attitude, and there is such a format called ready-made. Its founder is Marcel Duchamp. What he did? He took a porcelain urinal, named it a fountain, signed it and exhibited it. How old is it? This was in the 20s. Well, 100 years passed, and this work impressed me. Take for example glasses. It is enough to correct a little, glue something, disrupt the usual functionality, and they already turn into an art object. People come and ask, what is it, what for? I say, this is a high art, so cool, but absolutely useless thing. It seems to me that these things help to get out of some familiar rhymes. You can look at yourself differently, and then the world will look at you differently, and you will look at the world differently. I know his creative works, and I've been following his creativity for more than 20 years. I also developed with him. He is close to me because he does not have definite boundaries in art. He does not stop at some achieved forms and develops in breadth and upwards unexpectedly. He doesn't dogmatize in any one direction. He participates in many fairs, exhibitions, and he never gets tired. I never saw Vsevolod as boring, or tired, or sad, or angry, as if he had no problem, but it's not like that. He's an ordinary person. I mean, he's a person who lives in our time, in our world, and therefore, he has all problems like us, but he is an artist, and therefore, he has wings, and he can rise above our boring, grey, everyday world, and most of the time, it seems to me, he inhabits somewhere behind clouds, in the beyond universe, where there are colors, images, where there is joy, and there just it feeds this other universe, supports him. Everyone has the truth inside. One must be able to hear the inner voice, Vsevolod Demidov confirms. The artist, husband, father, with his wife, they marked a pearl wedding, brought up 2 sons. And his wife, the teacher of computer science, is perhaps the most severe critic of Vsevolod. He has been working for a long time. I like his last hats. I do not understand some of them. I look and sigh. I might say, why do you need these horns? In our society, people perceive horns as something aggressive. I liked it when he did buttons, bracelets in due time, his early creativeness. He painted with oil. We had a hat day at school in the autumn. I came, brought my hats, but it was just like a stop, one creative day. And all said, great. And then many children said, oh, so it's your husband. I remember him. We know him from those hats. As you know, the human brains consist of 2 hemispheres. One is responsible for all rational, logic, analysis. Another for creative, emotions, intuition. Why not to create the 3rd hemisphere, living in peace and harmony, with its characteristic irony? Vsevolod Demidov once thought and began to create his magic hat. There was a period when I, as a traditional artist, drew pictures, gave them to galleries, to salons, and a woman came in such a gallery and she proposed national felt hats. And something said to me, intuition or inner voice said, turn to this attention. I bought one hat from her and just walked around for a while wearing that hat. And then, as an artist, I wanted it to be just mine, and I sewed some things onto it. It got such a unique look, and people started to pay attention. And I felt as if a gate had opened, and I went there, and so far I have traveled through this space, where the hats played an important role in my life. For example, I have to prepare bracelets, something else for the fair, but no, they took me captive and do not let go. Fairs, exhibitions, festivals, a comfortable environment for Vsevolod Demidov. He comes here with a desire to give something to the world, to share his love, the joy of life, some unusual things, and the world responds kindly. I noticed that Vsevolod Demidov is a generator of ideas. He spins the space. Wherever Vsevolod appears, everything changes, everything is transformed. And I'm always amazed by this magic, how everything comes out of nothing, from simple things, from some small nails, buttons, from some details, objects that are garbage, objects that you would never have paid attention to, but he slightly rearranges them, adds a little color, and things turn into a sign, in a picture, in such an absolutely universal image. Any work of Vsevolod Demidov is a separate, wonderful and bright world. His colors are always the brightest: orange, yellow, bark, gold. Here the flatness can easily be transformed into volume. And previously no one needed thing becomes an object of art. The artist does not stop admiring the world and invites us along with him to make an exciting journey through the labyrinth of creative consciousness.